Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome back. I could not wait till tomorrow to talk about this. So I'm just going to give you guys a heads up right now. If you don't want spoilers, go ahead and leave now. Watch the movie, come back, and then watch the replay of this live stream. But um, yeah, I just have to. I just have to give my analysis on it. I just have to. It's crazy. It's crazy. But if anyone wants to know right off the bat who won, allow me to entertain you guys. Who won? Who literally freaking won this battle? And it's actually pretty cool because the previous movies that pitted Kong versus Godzilla, Kong always won. Kong always won. In the 1950s version, Kong won. In the one before, I think the one after that, Kong won. So it was great to see that in both rounds, Godzilla just spanked the crap out of Kong royally. And a lot of people speculated that, Godzilla was going to win one fight, Kong was going to win one fight, and then they were going to like fight Mechagodzilla. Because we already knew Mechagodzilla was going to be in this movie. There was so much stuff that you could just literally, see in the trailers. And then obviously leaks and stuff like that really played a major role. Caleb, what's up, man? So let me just start off by saying this, okay? First of all, this movie, I think, was epic until the end. The end doesn't make sense, and I'm going to critique the hell out of the end of the movie because I thought they could have done a way better job with the ending. I seriously felt they could have done a lot better because it doesn't make sense. So I feel like that a lot of the story plot was well played out in this movie. You have Godzilla literally feeling Ghidorah's brainwaves. That's what was causing Godzilla. So like my speculations from previous live streams where I talked about Godzilla versus Kong, and I said that it had to be Ghidorah's brainwaves that was setting Godzilla on a frenzy, and he was attacking Apex facilities. Turns out to be right. So they've been turning on Mechagodzilla on and off, testing power sources, testing their ability to link. They used Ghidorah's head and use it as a way for them to telepathically link with Mechagodzilla and control it, since part of Ghidorah's brain is within the monster, the machine, the robot itself. And so that's what they're initially doing. That was the whole plot, how they were going to try to control Mechagodzilla. And every time they've turned it on, Ghidorah's brainwaves could be felt. This is why Mechagodzilla was able to locate Apex facilities and actually try to destroy them for what they're trying to do. Godzilla already knew what they were trying to do, even though he was being deemed as the bad guy. He was made look to be the bad guy. He was, turned on by humanity. So it wouldn't surprise me if Godzilla doesn't come to humans' aids in the future. A sequel, Caleb? Yes, I really feel like a sequel is going to be there down the road a little bit. But this is one of those times where it's just like, Godzilla trusted humans when we needed him. So when he needed us, why didn't we trust him? Because in this movie, the United States and the United Nations, they don't back Godzilla up whatsoever. They're not even there to take the fight, right? Like in the first Godzilla movie, when he attacks the Mutos that are trying to reproduce, the military was like, okay, yeah, you know what? Godzilla is a casualty that at our expense, we're going to go ahead and destroy him and the Mutos. And then towards the end up slightly joining the fight to kill the Mutos. And Godzilla comes to the aid of humanity. Then in part 2, when Apex is going around releasing the Titans all across the world, including Monster Zero, aka Ghidorah, then the United States takes sides with Godzilla and they take the fight to Ghidorah at the end, right? Showing that both species can live in balance. Godzilla, staying out of our way, allowing us to maintain our way of life, and only coming to our aid when something threatens, the world in a cataclysmic way that only Godzilla can stand up to it. And then in this movie, we just totally betray Godzilla. We're just like, oh yeah, we're not backing him anymore. He's not a friend of the United Nations. He's not a friend of the United States. Godzilla's killing people. I mean, even the guy, Madison's dad, who's just like, Godzilla's out there hurting people. We don't know why. And his own daughter happens to be the only one who's like, something is making Godzilla do this. Godzilla is doing this for a reason. Something is triggering him. So we need to back Godzilla, but nobody wants to back Godzilla except for Madison. So like, a tale of two stories in this movie. You have Kong, who they're trying to bring to the Hollow Earth. This is where Kong is from. And they need to lead the way by carrying him by ship, trying to route through ocean waters that they say is not Godzilla's, known territories that he kind of roams around, thinking that they're going to bypass Godzilla, forgetting that all these monsters can feel each other's presence by brainwave activity. So Kong's brain being active since he wasn't asleep for majority of the boat ride, obviously he made Godzilla know that he was off Skull Island. And Godzilla feeling Ghidorah's brainwaves made Godzilla feel like that Ghidorah was back, but he couldn't see Ghidorah. He doesn't see Ghidorah trying to fly around and change the earth, the weather and the earth itself. But he's noticing specific areas where these brainwave patterns are coming from, and so he's going to attack. And by doing that, the world sees him as an enemy, because they don't understand why he's attacking these facilities. And ain't nobody really ever suspicious of Apex. And I don't know why nobody in this movie was suspicious of Apex. Apex was the one behind it, trying to release all the Titans in the second movie. They were the ones that, released Ghidorah and then was just going to sit back and watch the Titans fight and destroy each other and wreak havoc on the planet just to reset the balance of the ecosystem and all of us in it, because humans are so terrible that this world needed to be cleansed and it needed to be given back to the rightful owners, the Titans. The podcast dude was suspect of Apex. Yeah, he was the only one who was suspect of Apex. He was the only one gathering information and then spreading that information on a podcast when everyone doubted him. Why did people think that Apex was good when they were up to no good in King of the Monsters? That's just was like. So those are some of the things I thought about when watching the movie. Like, okay, Apex is all of a sudden, they're not. No one is thinking, okay, hey, Godzilla attacked one of your facilities. What are you guys doing down there? Nobody asks. Nobody asks except for Madison and the podcaster and her friend Josh, and they end up getting taken. And taken to the actual facility where Mechagodzilla is held, which happens to be in Hong Kong. So the light scene in the city where Godzilla battles Kong and all that's not Japan. That was what myself and other people who talked about the movie, who had predictions, was guessing wrong. They never battled in Tokyo. All this took place in Hong Kong. You have Kong actually speaking for the first time ever in history of Kong movies. Kong spoke. Kong literally spoke. Of course, he also does sign language, but the one word that he said was home. And he did the sign language for home, and he said home. And so everyone was like, did that monkey just talk? Kong knows how to communicate with humans. He hides it in fear of what humans would do if they were able to communicate with him. He made that prevalent that Kong does not trust humans. Only the little girl who he is bonded with from Skull Island. We didn't get the Asian guy yelling Godzilla or Gojira, Gojira. No, we didn't get the Asian guy screaming it. This is because they were in Hong Kong. So they didn't have a guy who, has a Japanese accent, because in the Japanese, they speak from diaphragm. They didn't have the guy go there and say Gojira. So, but damn, did they wreck the shit out of Hong Kong, man? So, hey, if people's worried about China as a threat, let's just, find Godzilla and unleash him out there and say, hey, Apex is over there in Hong Kong with the Chinese government. Send Godzilla out there, take him out. But there was just a lot of things about this movie that was just kind of ups and downs. The action sequences were really, really good. I have to give it up to that. The first fight, which now I'm going to break down an analysis of it. So again, spoiler alert. But the first fight that takes place that we see in the trailer, we see Godzilla come up and knock the ship. It really didn't go in that format to start off with. The little girl feels Godzilla's vibrations, because she is deaf. And so, but she can feel the vibrations, so she knows Godzilla's coming. And of course, the rest of the crew knows Godzilla's coming, because even though they've been sailing in uncharted Godzilla waters, Godzilla can feel Kong's brainwaves and found him. And literally in that fight, it was as a lot of people predicted. Okay, Godzilla was going to have the upper hand because they're in the middle of the ocean. And that's Godzilla's territory because Godzilla can fight on land and in water. He's more agile in water and fast. And so the fight happens. Of course, the climatic, Kong throws the first punch at Godzilla. But, the Japanese trailer showed where Godzilla answers back with a punch. And to be honest with everybody, that punch from Godzilla came back immediate right away. And I can already tell from that fight, just from that fight, can you read this? But just from that fight, you already knew that Godzilla was going to have the upper hand from that point. Kong literally reached back with his massive arms and just straight clocked Godzilla right in the face. And all Godzilla did was just get a whiplash effect and a little balance off. And then, how am I alive? Through StreamYard. And then after taking that punch, like after Godzilla absorbing that punch, Godzilla literally just immediately responds with, a right hand, just bam, just like a hook. But Godzilla's punch knocked Kong off his feet. So we just kind of got told in that first fight, okay, you know what? Kong may look the stronger one. He may look as a stronger one. He may have the massive arms, the agility, and everything like that. But as far as strength, Godzilla overpowers Kong. And throughout the trailer, I love how they emphasize, like, Godzilla's king of the monsters. Kong bows to nobody. So Kong is, considers himself a king himself. And it was like two equals going at it. But this was far from that. Godzilla and Kong are not equals. Godzilla is actually stronger. And take away his atomic breath and his radiation, his nuclear pulse. Just on sheer strength, Godzilla just literally pitch slapped Kong to the ground. Thoughts on the scene where Kong almost drowned? Did you think that was inconsistent sense? I don't really think it's inconsistent. Okay, because you gotta look at Kong, Kong and what he is, right? He's not gonna have the ability to somehow breathe underwater as Godzilla can. Godzilla, lives, maneuvers mostly and travels mostly in the ocean. That's basically his domain. And so in that sequence where Godzilla popped up from the water and just literally bashed the boat. I'm still on Periscope. I'm actually using StreamYard. So StreamYard is live streaming to YouTube, to Twitch, and to Periscope. I've just gave it a shot to see if it would, and I guess Periscope is still allowing StreamYard to connect to live stream. But when Godzilla tipped that ship with Kong chained to it, we already seen already. I mean, Kong already gave the expressions in his face. He had to break away from those chains or he was going to drown. And so when they released him, the fight sequence commenced, and Kong and Godzilla battled. But the part where you're talking about where Godzilla basically wrapped himself around Kong and it was dragging him to the depths, suffocating, drowning him, literally. I feel like that. I mean, that just encompassed the whole part that the ocean is Godzilla's territory. You know what I mean? So Godzilla's gonna know how to kill Kong quickly in the water, and he would capitalize on it. I mean, this is not like a 12-round boxing match with a referee in the middle of it. Either one is gonna do what they're gonna do to get the upper hand. But Kong was at a very serious disadvantage from the very beginning because the ocean is not his territory. He's a land animal. The land is where he's going to thrive. And it was the only thing that I thought that was odd was how they were like, power off the ships. Let's make Godzilla think that we lost and that Kong is dying. And so they shut off all the engines. They shut off all the electronics. They all went silent. Kong kind of bitched out there. I'm sorry to say it to Kong fans, but Kong kind of bitched out there because, his ass spit up some water when he was able to break free of Godzilla's grip and, being drowned because of those charge torpedoes that basically interfered with their fight underwater. Kong Kong took, like, okay, he's kind of weak, so I'm gonna fake like I'm dying. He pretended to like have his life fade away, and Godzilla looked at them and then just turned and left. So that's how they avoided the battle in the ocean continuing. But the good part about it is because they emphasized how Kong and Godzilla are the last standing in the ancient war, and that they would come for blood, they would come for death. These fights really emulated that. Like, if Kong didn't fake, that he was dying on the ship because he was like partially drowned, almost drowned, and that everyone on the ships were dead. If Godzilla didn't turn and go away, literally, the whole scene gave you that feeling that if Godzilla didn't fall for their trick, he was going to come in no matter what. Even if Kong was weak, even if Kong was still trying to spit water out of his lungs, Godzilla was going to come in and finish the job. They portray Kong as having human-like lung capacity despite being significantly larger. But even if he had larger lungs, doesn't mean that his lungs would be able to withstand the ocean, like the water itself, from what he's inhaling in. Because it's not like he has a larger capacity lung, but he's taking in air and the same as what a human would. No. So just think about it. One of his breaths, would take in a lot of water because he is a massive creature. So yeah, and the only thing I found inconsistent was when he came back above water and how they try to emphasize that he was hacking up water out of his lungs. That was a little bit of water. To be honest, I would have expected a little bit more than just what he threw up when he reached the surface, and he was kind of like teetering on the side of the ship before he plopped himself on his back. But you know what? Like, I expected the water fight to give it to Godzilla. That is his territory. What I did not expect was the Hong Kong fight. The Hong Kong fight was pretty good. It was a back and forth. It almost seemed like it could go either way. I mean, you did see Kong basically more agile than anything because he's on land. Land is his territory. You had all the skyscrapers in Hong Kong for him to use to basically, volley attacks and bounce around and everything like that. But Godzilla took it to him on land. They didn't make it the cliche thing, which some people thought was going to happen, was Godzilla would win in water, Kong would win on land. No, Godzilla whooped Kong's ass on land too. So, it goes to it. I mean, Kong submitted. Kong, and I did not expect that. I did not think that would happen. Kong literally submitted right when Godzilla was basically crushing his chest with his foot. Kong submitted. So that whole thing of Kong bows to nobody, Kong bowed tonight because Kong gave up. And literally, and people can try to make excuses about Kong or anything like that. I'm not trying to bash on him because Kong is a very good creature. I've watched King Kong movies when I was young. I've watched Godzilla movies when I was young. I've always wondered who would win in a straight out fight between the two. And I'm sad to say this, but nobody got that answer tonight. Nobody got the answer tonight, because if you think about it, the older movies that had Kong versus Godzilla, both of those movies Kong won, and in this one Godzilla wins. So that's still 2-1. We need 2 more movies. We need 2 more movies, and we need them soon to really kind of say who is the clear winner in this. But for this movie, Godzilla wins both. He wins both, but at least in the second fight, because it's on land, Kong had a good chance of winning, and even dealt some badass damage. I mean, obviously having his war axe, after that he found in the chamber over there on Hollow Earth, where his throne was, that did help a lot. Like I was explaining, the only thing that's really going to hurt Godzilla is Godzilla himself. So the spine plate from his back that was made into a battle axe weapon for Kong, that dealt some damage. Of course, my daughter has the action figure of Godzilla from Godzilla versus Kong, and that action figure has like a big old gash rip open in his chest, and then it has like a little accessory piece that you can push, like a puzzle that fits in there to hide it, so you can emphasize Godzilla before he got hit by the axe and then Godzilla after. And in the movie, you see the cut on Godzilla's chest, but it's a very thin cut. It wasn't ripped open. There wasn't like a huge amount of flesh and meat torn off like the toys did that were released. You don't want to give the water fight to Zilla quite yet. Too much human interference. I mean, yes, there was a lot of human interference in that fight, but even without the human interference, okay, let's say they never sent those chargers out there to try and separate Godzilla and Kong, and Godzilla had a pretty damn good grip on Kong. Kong would have drowned. He'd have been dead. So literally, they did that. It's like two Titans fighting, each one having a way to best the other one, possibly able to do some damage. But then as one is getting his ass whooped and it seems like the inevitable is going to happen, that one that's getting whooped is going to lose. You know, somebody interferes in the fight to save that one person from an ass whipping. That was inevitable. So, I mean, that's why I give it to Godzilla, because Godzilla, all he had to do is just drown Kong and Kong is gone. You know, there's no coming back for him if he was to drag him to the depths and hold him down there. Kong cannot maneuver as quickly as Godzilla can in the water. I mean, we've seen that throughout the fight. I mean, Godzilla does a complete 180 turn because he's swimming, and then you got Kong, who can't really turn as fast because that's not his forte. Water is not his forte. Dang, this is a lot to take in, and I want to stay and listen, but I gotta head to bed. No, go ahead, man. You can watch the replay later, bro. That's my little brother, by the way. Y'all follow him on Twitch. He does some pretty good gaming on Twitch, and I would appreciate if people would check him out. So that's his Twitch channel right there. So you guys give him a follow on Twitch. Really appreciate it. But yeah, I give it to Godzilla. I give, you know, I'm give the second fight went to Godzilla. It would have went either way, but then Kong submitted. The only thing here, because this is not my deep analysis of it, I'm gonna watch it again and again and again, so I see if I catch anything else, and then I will do like a full 2-hour possible podcast just dedicated to everything about it. But just in my quick analysis after just watching the movie about 22, almost 23 minutes ago is when I finished watching it. The only part that didn't make sense to me was the end. The end to me was garbage. It was trash. It was horrible. I didn't like the way that they closed out the movie. I thought it was pretty ridiculous. It was stupid. What the hell are they thinking? You have this great action-packed climactic movie with a lot of spins, twists, and whatnot going on. And then you end it like as if you're trying to hurry up and get out of the theater. It's like you captivate everybody to say, hey, this is a great, awesome movie. It's badass. You know, the action is great. The storytelling is great. The characters, all of them, like all the human characters were great. And then you give us that ending and you tuck tail and you run away so quickly. Like, what the hell? Because the ending didn't make sense to me, right? Like, you know, Kong submits, he's dying, all right? Because, you know, Godzilla basically crushed his chest slightly. His heartbeat is fading away. So the girl and them have to figure out a way to try and save Kong's life, which they figure a way to do it. They figure a way to create a defibrillator out of the ship they were using to fly in Hollow Earth to revive Kong and bring him back. However, Godzilla goes one-on-one with Mechagodzilla. And of course, what I said in my previous videos on Godzilla versus Kong, that, you know, more than likely, since they're using Ghidorah's brain to partially control Mechagodzilla and power it to a degree, they're using they're using Ghidorah's brain. They found the head, the one that Godzilla bit off in the ocean fight in King of the Monsters, and so they're using it. Now, my suspicions was right, as well as other people who were covering Godzilla versus Kong up until the release date today, and we all felt that somehow Ghidorah was just going to take over Mechagodzilla's body. And was a cheat device or effective strategy? Do I think? Hold on, this is actually a pretty good one. But do I think the spilling water on the machine was a cheap plot device, or effectively strategic? To be quite honest with you, I didn't give that a second thought. I mean, personally, you know, when they spill, you know, the liquid onto the machine that's used to control Mechagodzilla to scramble with it, I don't know, just thinking about, you know, computing and supercomputing, right? You would think you know, I guess I would say a cheap trick like that wouldn't be something that would take down Mechagodzilla, because I guess you can say in a way the humans are the ones that beat Mechagodzilla, because since they're going with that they spilt that liquid on the computer, which, you know, caused Mechagodzilla to go out of whack, which gave Kong the chance he needed to take him down, working together with Godzilla per se. sort of, kind of, not really, but kind of there. I guess it gave the win to the humans, right? So both fights, technically, I say goes to Godzilla, and then the fight with Mechagodzilla goes to humans. But see, the thing that really kind of irritated me about it was like, so when Godzilla goes one-on-one with Mechagodzilla, right? You would think that Godzilla would have some capabilities to withstand the fight with Mechagodzilla, but really the fight between Godzilla and Mechagodzilla, it was more of Mechagodzilla whooping the shit out of Godzilla. Now, one could argue and say, well, Godzilla was going to get bested anyways because his fight with Kong was brutal and he's fucking tired. So, of course, Mechagodzilla was going to have the upper hand to toss Godzilla around like he was a rag doll, slamming his head into a side of a building and then slamming into another building, grabbing him by the side and like charging him through buildings and then tossing him into more buildings. Like, I get it. Yeah, that could be the case. But Godzilla didn't really land any critical attacks on Mechagodzilla whatsoever, not until Kong interfered. After the little girl basically talked Kong into understanding that Godzilla is not your enemy. He's never your enemy. It's true. He's not your enemy. That machine is your enemy. Help Godzilla. Then Kong comes in. And like, so I was thinking like, okay, this is what, I suspected too, that Kong and Godzilla would work together and take down Mechagodzilla. But that was far from what I expected. Far from what I expected whatsoever. So yes, they did tag team to a degree. About a good 2 minutes in that fight sequence, they tag teamed together. However, Mechagodzilla was still powerful and besting both of them in a 2-on-1 fight. And then when they poured that liquid on the supercomputer, which glitched Mechagodzilla, it was literally Kong who did most of the major damages to Mechagodzilla. The only assist he got was when Godzilla used his atomic breath to charge the blade of Kong's battle axe, which Kong used it to slice and hack up Mechagodzilla, cutting off both arms and dealing critical damage to the body itself before chopping the head off. Well, actually slicing the head and then with his hands ripping the head off and holding it as his prize that Kong defeated Mechagodzilla. Because in that sequence where Kong is using the battle axe to take apart Mechagodzilla piece by piece, like I said, the only thing that Godzilla did was he used his atomic breath to charge the battle axe. So then the battle axe would have been charged, because if nobody noticed it or didn't realize it, the blade of the battle axe is a spine either of Godzilla or of a descendant of Godzilla, like maybe the one that they found in the Philippines in the first Godzilla movie that was buried underground. Maybe it could have been from that one. But nonetheless, with the atomic breath, it charged that blade up, and so Kong was able to use it and deal damage to Mechagodzilla. And that's really what we got. Because after that, I mean, there was just a standoff between the two. Again, of course, everyone was afraid they were going to get back to fighting. But I already knew better at that point. I already knew better that Kong was not going to charge after Godzilla, and Godzilla was not going to continue a fight with Kong. Kong submitted to Godzilla when he nearly died by Godzilla's foot. So, but then after that, it kind of cut sequences. It cut sequences to Kong being in Hollow Earth. And yeah, that was it. Then roll credits. Now, I didn't stay in the credit scene to see if there was a post-credit. So I'm going to go back and look at it, because I'm going to watch this movie a couple of more times before I give like a full analysis, like a full just beginning to end, go into all details. I got to find some things. The next time I watch this movie, I'm looking for Easter eggs. I'm looking for something that is going to point to another movie. That way I can do research on it, find it. If there is plans for another movie, and we'll talk about it in the future episode. But I wanted to jump on tonight and just do this real quick. I know it's a spoiler alert. I put it in the title on YouTube. So for those watching on YouTube or not watching on YouTube, which I noticed nobody on YouTube is watching, so that's good. That means that they don't want to get the spoilers. That's awesome. But hopefully, when you guys see the movie, you guys come back and check this out and see what I had to say on it. I'd love to hear people's opinions. So please feel free to comment on YouTube. Comment your opinions on what you think of the movie. You know what? I would love to get a different perspective from other people and see where this goes, how people called it. But yeah, as his points right there, to me, the winner is that Titan right there, Godzilla. And I said it before, Team Godzilla. I was rooting for Godzilla, so it is what it is. But I thought in general, in total, I'm not taking away from Kong fans because Kong in this movie was actually pretty good. But wait until I do my full deep detail analysis of the movie, and I'll explain to you guys about what I think about Kong himself. How did you feel about the cinematography when I first watched it? The way that the movie looked, I don't know. In the very beginning of the movie, I felt some of the effects and everything like that. I felt it was okay. To be honest, I felt it was okay. It's not the best. Natural. Of course, he's not a natural thing, but you got to take his size and everything like that, and then kind of just, when you look at it, you can kind of see where like a certain movement would just be like for his size, for his density, his bone structure, like where would he turn like that? Like the way he wrapped around Kong was very questionable too. They almost made him wrap around Kong like he was kind of like a python, but he's not long and slender. He's pretty bulky, so. Yeah, I don't know, but I'll go into that in future. I do appreciate everyone who came in, and I'm actually surprised that StreamYard live streams can still feed into Periscope. A lot of people on Periscope popping in here, so I guess this would be considered my last live stream on Periscope because I don't know if we'll be able to do that tomorrow. We'll see. But anyways, I appreciate you guys for being here. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. Y'all are clutch. I will see you guys in the next one. Follow me on YouTube as well. In case, if you guys like, bubble technology talks, nerd stuff, and everything like that, you'll find it on my channel. Until then, peace.